Engineers Ireland membership delivers with our extensive online resource centre. Engage today and make the most of your Engineers Ireland membership. Equality, diversity and inclusion is at the forefront of management minds more than ever. Yet women are still underrepresented in certain industry areas.
Believe it or not, the percentage of women in engineering globally has fallen since 2020 from 15% to 13.7%.
Hi there, my name is Dusty Rose and welcome to Amplified, the Engineers Journal podcast. Today we meet a chartered engineer who is driving the way forward for women in engineering. We discuss how to empower more women to reach leadership positions, the role of mentorship in career growth, and how companies can foster truly diverse and inclusive teams. Our guest leads one of Ireland's most progressive engineering and design consultancies and is passionate about driving real change. It's a pleasure to welcome Atkins Realis Managing Director Martina Finn. Martina, how are you?
Very good, Dusty, and thanks very much for having me on the podcast. I'm very delighted to be here.
An absolute pleasure to have you, Martina. Listen, tell me, how did you get into this wonderful world of engineering in the first place?
I happened to go to a careers evening in my school. I was in a mixed school in Monaghan, and there was someone who was studying engineering in Dundalk Institute of Technology. And I spoke with him on the evening and decided, I was doing technical graphics in school, and I had aptitude towards maths and technical graphics. So I applied to do civil engineering in Dundalk, and I did a certificate and diploma there. And then I went on to do my degree in Ulster University in Belfast. So something I haven't regretted since, because it's given me a very, very varied and great, fantastic career to travel with. So no, it's been a fantastic career choice for me.
You also like to work to some incredible deadlines. And I love the fact where, a client will go, well, I need to have this done by January 2035 or whatever it happens to be. But you've worked on two very notable projects where there was no shifting the deadlines. And one of them was the 100th anniversary of the 1916 Rising. And you were involved in the military archives there. Can you tell me more about what you did?
Yeah, so we were the civil and structural engineers on that project, and I was the lead engineer for Atkins Realis. And essentially it was building a new military archives, which was a sunken basement with a double-storey height, but it had to be very sympathetic to link into an existing protected structure on the old Cahalbrua army barracks. So we had a number of challenges there in terms of just we had a particular height of building that we had to obtain to have the heights of storage required for the archives, the type of building environment. But you also had to consider then the neighbouring properties, which were predominantly residential. And then, as I mentioned, to tie into the sympathetic protected structures, of the fantastic and the beautiful campus of the Cahalbrua barracks. Then in relation to the programme, we had to be finished for the 2016 commemoration celebration. So we literally had a 9-month program to get that project built, and with a fantastic, design team and lead architect, along with the contractors. We literally all did just a really collaborative approach to the project, and it was a real can-do attitude across the board. And we got the project delivered, on budget and on time. And it was opened by our president, Michael D. Higgins, for the commemorations for 2016. And fantastic project. If anybody gets the opportunity to go down, you can actually go in. There's a visitors area in there. And if you have had, people in your family who were in the military before, it's a central repository for Ireland for all of the military archives. So beautiful place to visit if you get the opportunity.
So if I'm going down to visit, okay, what should I watch out for that was a particular challenge for you, and how did you overcome it? Just so it's a little insider thing to look out for.
Probably one of the things you won't see, which was one of the biggest challenges, is they're literally part of the whole archives building. So the new part of the building is sunk into the ground, and it literally butts right up against the existing protected structure building, which has, older buildings have either very shallow foundations or no foundations. So they're very, very thick walls, but literally with no foundation. So there's a lot of underpinning, which essentially is putting in concrete underpinning columns essentially along the existing structure to allow us then to dig down for this new basement structure as part of the military archives. The other thing then is we did a lot of, again, sympathetic refurbishment to do to the existing protected structure, and along with the architects who are fantastic on the conservation side of things. It's turned out to be a lovely job.
Another project that you're working on with a deadline that could just not be moved was the London Olympics. That must have been wildly exciting. What memories do you have of that?
Oh, it was a fantastic project to be involved in. And, at that time, we weren't still out of the recession here yet. We were probably starting to maybe see some green shoots. But the big thing for us was to, pick up work where we could to keep our core teams going in Ireland. So essentially it was keeping people in jobs, over that period. And, because of projects like the London Olympics, we came out of it with a stronger portfolio and also just with a greater rounded experience. That project in particular, we were looking after thousands of temporary structures across the whole venues for the LOCOG committee. And right up until the deadline, like literally the night before the opening ceremony, we had people on the ground. So we would do the design of the temporary works, and then we had people on the ground who were supervising the construction of them and making sure it was all signed off and certified, literally right up until the night before the opening ceremony. We got a fantastic commendation from LOCOG on the day of the opening ceremony, and it's a project across Atkins Realis we're very proud of, and for myself and leading the Irish team, very, very proud to have been involved in it. And as I said, we literally worked 24/7 together, so there was a lot of bonding, and the team did fantastically well on it.
And you were coming, as you say, to the night before the London Olympics. Are you the kind of person who's able to just sleep well and go, it'll be fine, I have everything under control? Or do you feel the pressure? Is there adrenaline rushing through your blood?
I probably didn't appreciate the temporary structures on these type of events before the Olympics, and you're a little bit not nervous, but you just, I suppose, have a bit of apprehension. But no, I slept very well. Maybe some of the nights and the weeks beforehand I didn't sleep so well, but I slept very well that night. So.
Great. Well, listen, that was then. This is now. What kind of projects have you got in the pipeline at the moment at Atkins Realis that are kind of lighting your fire, getting you excited? Are you kind of going, this is good? Yeah,
we're very fortunate at the moment. We've grown very well over the last number of years, and we're working with a number of key public and private sector clients in Ireland. I suppose some of the exciting projects we're working on is the Metrolink Advanced Works project, which essentially is the enabling works to allow the Metrolink being contract. I mean, we've been talking about Metrolink in Ireland for
20 years. More.
20 years. And, we're seeing it being realised now. We're involved in it. It is going to happen. It will be a fantastic project to link up. We're the only city in Europe without a rail link to our airport. So it'll link up, North City to Dublin Airport to, our rail lines as well, and run to South City. So a fantastic project to be involved in.
So where are we sitting with that project at the moment? Has the last 20 years of planning and rows and discussions and funding and not funding and all that, have all the kind of the problems been sorted, and now it's just kind of getting down to putting the preparation works in place and then doing the actual construction?
I'll say it's been worked through at the moment, but it's been worked through very proactively, because there's still a process to go through in relation to planning and so forth. But it is underway, and it will be realised.
Are you able to say from an engineering point of view what you, in your opinion, will be the biggest challenge in delivering that project?
Gosh, I suppose you always have to consider everybody along that route and along the line. And, nobody likes to see, I suppose, disruption in their backyard, but equally, it's such a critical infrastructure project. I think collectively, and particularly for people within Dublin, but also outside of Dublin, it'll help with that connectivity, and it'll help, ease maybe some of the pressures on the streets, and it greatly enhance the public transport within Dublin, and I say that connectivity to the airport, but also to the rail lines as well. But with every major progression we do, there has to be some disruption and some sacrifice. So, unfortunately, at times we all have to experience that, but it is important.
We'll return to our podcast in just a few seconds, but first a reminder that Engineers Ireland membership delivers with our wide-ranging career supports. Engage today and make the most of your Engineers Ireland membership. Let's move on to a topic that comes up quite regularly on the Engineers Ireland Amplified podcast, and that is equality, diversity and inclusion, which is at the forefront of our minds even more than ever. Yet, I can't believe in 2025 that women remain underrepresented in engineering. What needs to change, in your opinion, to bring more women into the industry?
It's something I am very passionate about. Obviously being a female engineer and passionate about engineering, and it being a fantastic profession to be in. Believe it or not, the percentage of women in engineering globally has fallen since 2020 from 15% to 13.7%. In Ireland, we're probably maintaining in around the 14 to 15%. But I suppose some of the initiatives that myself and my Atkins Realis colleagues do would be, mentoring, reverse mentoring, helping develop our current females in engineering. But a really, really big focus, and I know it is for Engineers Ireland too, is the STEPS programme, where we get the opportunity to go out to schools, and that's both at secondary level and primary school level. We've done initiatives where we invite in female students of 15 to 16 years old and teach them what engineering is, the type of career you can have, just the varying types of engineering. So, I'm a structural engineer by background. You have structural, civil, mechanical, electrical. Nowadays, you have sustainable initiatives and sustainable engineering. You can do biomedical, telecoms engineering, power and renewables. There's just so much you can do, and what a diverse career. Again, as I mentioned, a great career to travel with. But there's so many misperceptions for young females on what engineering is, and I think particularly they feel probably either not confident to go into it because it's a male-dominated industry, and also just very self-conscious. So we try and break down the barriers around that. Also, the other thing is we try and make them understand that at any level, and this applies to young males and females, there are entry levels into engineering from apprenticeship courses through to level 7, level 8, level 9 across the board. So Atkins Realis started an apprenticeship program last year. And again, people think you need to have honours maths and honours technical graphics, English and different maybe a science subject. But the baseline for example, for an apprenticeship or level 7 course is ordinary level maths and ordinary level English. So it's trying to break down some of those barriers. And, I would always be keen to present. I live in Dublin. So, some of the schools in inner city Dublin, I myself was very lucky to go to university, but some people think they won't get the opportunity to go to university because maybe of social barriers or that they mightn't be able to afford it. But it is, there are entry levels at all different levels, from school to apprenticeship programs. There are scholarships through, we're doing a scholarship this year in UCD, and across the board there are different entry levels that students can uptake, and particularly to encourage female students to come into engineering.
Do you think that engineering is made to sound too complicated? Because, as you said, people imagine that you need to have, higher level English or mathematics or science subjects and stuff like that, which maybe you don't necessarily need. Should there be more emphasis put on what engineers build?
I think one of the things, and even, I've been into schools, probably a great age to get children at, and particularly, again, if we're looking at females, is that 7 years old to 9. And when we go into schools at that age, engineering is literally in everything that we do, from your phone to the headphones we're wearing to the cosmetics, kids wear, on their face, to, their nail varnish. So people think of it as buildings and bridges and, big roads projects, but it's in, biomedical science. It's literally in every single thing. So particularly when I go into, say, the national schools, I would show them, a picture of a normal street scene, and from the electricity poles to somebody riding their bike down the street to, the woman pushing the buggy to somebody, on their phone, the satellite TV, all of that is engineering. And, a lot of the educational institutions now have a common level entry, and after year one, you can do, a diverse range of courses from that base year. So it's just to try and, as I say, break down those barriers and get a greater understanding of exactly what engineering is. And again, to show it isn't a scary world to go into. You have to be robust, as in anything, but it is again a great career to go into, and particularly for females.
And when you're talking to those kids, I mean, sure, they know very little really between 7 and 9, but what's the reaction when they're listening to you? Or they kind of go, yeah, that sounds cool?
Oh no, they love it, absolutely love it. One of the things we do is, and it literally applies to what we do. We bring in a little exercise. So roll sheets of paper with some tape and a book. So if they have a book, we say, right, who can use the least amount of sheets of paper and tape? So you give them a little length each to, support this book. And for that age, some of the ideas they come up with, and it really opens their minds. It's just fantastic. And again, you come in with your hard hat and high-vis vest and let them try it on. They just get great interaction, great excitement. And, I'm really passionate about it in some of the schools, and particularly in around Dublin. Some of these kids, you hope they'll even stay on in school, but if they can get the opportunity to go to university or to go to, do an apprenticeship, or just do another step, in their education, it'll make such a difference in society as a whole. And you get such great satisfaction back from, encouraging these children in their education.
Martina, you're a very well-placed person in this area because you're a very passionate leader of a very large organisation. Tell me about Atkins Realis and how you're approaching diversity and equality and inclusion within your own company.
Listen, Dusty, particularly at senior levels across the board, it's a challenge because, when I graduated from University of Ulster, I was the only one in my year who graduated at the time. And, that probably has improved a bit. We're very fortunate in that at the moment in Atkins Realis, we're really targeting, the early careers and mid-careers level. And a part of that diversity is attraction of, I suppose, candidates from abroad. So we have a lot of staff from Europe, from places like Albania, Portugal. We have a huge South African and South American contingent. And within that, then we've got, I suppose, a large number of female engineers. And I suppose the great thing, it helps both from a cultural point of view and a diversity point of view is, the more that we have that in place, it broadens all of our thinking. It brings more innovation and creativity to, engineering is about solving problems for our clients and, for us delivering our purpose as Atkins Realis, which is engineering a better future for our planet and its people. And, the more diverse our workforce is, both culturally and in terms of, gender diversity, then the better, solutions and the better we can deliver for our clients and our communities.
As you're working your way through your career and kind of going up, things change. Because you go from solving problems on specific projects. Do you find now that you're solving problems with people and organising?
It's a mixture across the board, yeah. So a lot, we've got in around 400 people in Southern Ireland. There's another 200 plus in Northern Ireland. The big thing for us is, delivering for our clients, but who is delivering for our clients? It's our people. It's our people using technology to deliver. So our people are our biggest asset, and we have to look after our people, and we have to look after the development of our people. And again, the ED&I and the more diverse we are, and if we help everybody to come to work being their true self, their authentic self, then it helps with attrition. It makes a great work environment, and it ultimately then delivers the best we can to our clients and keeps our people, happy in their work and getting work satisfaction.
Martina, can I ask you to pull out your crystal ball? And I love looking into the future because there's no right answer. But how do you see it from your position? How do you think engineering is going to evolve over, say, the next decade or so?
We definitely will be we're already using a lot of digital technology. We need to embrace AI, but in the right way. So we do need, a lot of policy in place for that. It's coming whether we like it or not, so we need to utilize it in the right way.
And what do you mean by that? I mean, can you give me an example of the wrong way to use it and the right way to use it?
We have an AI policy in place within Atkins Realis. So there are there's one, I'll not name it, there's one AI program that we use. Others are not allowed to be used in the workplace, but there would be also strict controls around the utilization of that as well. You've probably seen AI generated videos and so forth. So we do a safety moment at the start of all of our meetings based around our values. So safety, integrity, innovation, collaboration, and excellence. So we'd always do one around that. And one recently was our global CEO, and it was an AI generated version of him, and it was him presenting it. And he then told us that this is not him. Delivering a message. So it's to look out for those type of things and to have those controls. It's going to apply to all companies across the board. And I think maybe it's still so new to us all. A lot of that maybe policing, it still isn't there.
I was going to say, how do you form a policy on something that is that new?
Well, within our own intranet, there would be literally strict things. So there are huge IT and data protection teams behind this. So there are the internal controls in place. And again, staff can't just upload any program to their laptops or their work equipment. It's all controlled.
So that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of people, when they think about AI, and they get very scared, and they kind of think like, oh my God, in 10 years time or 5 years time or whatever, that an AI is going to be doing my job. Where do you think AI, I mean, and I'm talking like, think of an Arnold Schwarzenegger sci-fi movie kind of a thing, AI in engineering, what do you think the possibilities are?
I suppose, listen, we've had, and I'm a structural engineer, as I mentioned earlier, my background, it doesn't matter what software you apply. So I'll take AI as another software. If you don't understand the fundamentals of what you should be designing and getting out on the other side of it, so anything AI generated needs to be validated, and all of the references behind it need to be checked. So it's the check-in processes and review processes that need to be in place. So it has a place, but it has a place with all the checks and reviews. And anything we do in engineering, you would have a manual. So as a structural engineer, you would do a manual check, and then you would do, a software, which will give you a more efficient outcome, but at least you have a good idea of what you're expecting on the back end of it. And for young engineers, and particularly, early careers, it would be something, as I'm developing them through, less so now, more in a mentoring role, that I would always insist, do that by hand manually, and then do it in your software. You have to understand what you're going to get out on the back end, or thereabouts. We have different rules of thumb, etc. But if you don't understand what you're expecting out, and then that's building on your experience and so forth. So
really kind of AI is, a lot of people say that AI will not take over your job, but somebody using AI will, which I think is a great little summary. For people who are listening kind of at the moment, getting into engineering or early in their engineering career, what kind of skills do you think that they're going to need to thrive?
I suppose, again, for anybody in their career, having a development path. So I would always say, have you got a mentor? For anybody entering a company, get into a mentorship program. Talk to your mentor about your development. And it's not just your career development, it's your technical development, but also personal development. So we would do, bi-yearly reviews with our people, and then there's a development plan that's checked each year. And basically, you will get out of it as much as you put into it with the support of, your team. So definitely have a development plan and get involved. The more you get involved in Engineers Ireland or the ACEI or your chosen professional institution, be involved internally, but also be involved externally. So again, a brilliant example is STEPS Week. Go out and visit a school. There's lists of schools on the Engineers Ireland website who would love somebody to visit them, and it's really get involved, because it's fine someone like me talking, but I think young people really love hearing from young people, particularly earlier in the careers, and it's good to get that balance across, and at least then the students can see how the career evolves.
You mentioned that about getting involved with a mentor or mentorship program. Did you ever have a mentor yourself?
Yes, no, I've had a mentor coming up through. I currently have a mentor within Atkins Realis, someone at a very senior level. And it's a fantastic experience. The other thing we have done in the last couple of years is reverse mentoring. So last year I was reverse mentored by a colleague from South Africa.
What does that mean?
So essentially, it's someone senior in the organisation being mentored by someone more junior in the organisation.
How do you take that?
It's so rewarding, because you learn so much from them. Just even I learned, I suppose, culturally, but you kind of learn what's on their mind. So then it helps from a senior leadership point of view for us to make better decisions and more informed decisions for the whole company. So it's very interesting, and it's a great program. I have a new reverse mentor now this year, which is a young female within our organisation. I'm really looking forward to. We're actually starting our first session next week, but it's a very rewarding one, and I will encourage all of our seniors to be involved. And it gives our early careers or mid levels engineers exposure again to maybe some people that mightn't meet within the organisation too. We work in different disciplines and sectors. So it will give them an opportunity to understand maybe another sector as well.
I think it's interesting with the viewpoints, because you're talking about, we were talking about the different mix of people and experiences and cultures and the whole thing when you get that together. But then reverse mentoring, I suppose, is you're learning from somebody younger, and somebody younger is also learning from you. Yeah, absolutely. Nice. Okay, well, listen, let's leave it there. If you'd like to find out more about Martina and some of the topics that we spoke about today, you find notes and link details in the description area of this podcast. But for now, Martina Finn, Executive Director of Atkins Realis, thank you.
Thanks very much, Dusty.
If you enjoyed our podcast today, please do share with a friend in the business. Just tell them to search for Engineers Ireland Amplified in their podcast player. The podcast is produced by dustpod.io for Engineers Ireland. For advanced episodes and more information on career development opportunities, there are libraries of information on our website at engineersireland.ie. Until next time, from myself, Dusty Rhodes, thank you for listening. Engineers Ireland membership delivers with access to the exclusive EBSCO library. Engage today and make the most of your Engineers Ireland membership.